Hi, welcome to another video. So Kilo just posted 2 blog posts on the same day, and I wanted to talk about them because they are technically about 2 different things, but they are also kind of about the same thing. The first one is about Roo Code shutting down, and the second one is about Cursor potentially getting acquired by SpaceX, or at least SpaceX getting the right to acquire Cursor later this year. And when I first saw both of these, I was like, okay, what is actually happening here? Because on one side, Roo Code is leaving the VS Code extension world and going toward remote. On the other side, Cursor is getting pulled closer into the SpaceX and XAI world. And then Kilo is sitting in the middle saying, basically, this is why we still care about VS Code, and this is why model freedom matters. So let's try to make sense of this. Now, the first post is called Thank You Roo, we'll take it from here. And this is Kilo reacting to Roo Code officially sunsetting its tools. Roo's own announcement says they are sunsetting the Roo Code VS Code extension, Roo Code Cloud, and Roo Code Router on May 15th. They will support existing products until then, shut down the cloud and router, refund unused balances, and archive the extension repository. So that's pretty big, because Roo Code was not some random tiny extension. It had millions of installs, and it pushed a lot of the agentic coding ideas that are now normal. Things like custom modes, architect mode, code mode, debug mode, the idea of giving the AI file access and terminal access, and letting it actually do work instead of just sitting there as autocomplete. So Kilo starts the post by basically giving Roo credit, and I think that is fair. Roo did a lot for this space, and even if you do not use it anymore, a lot of modern AI coding tools have taken inspiration from it. But then Kilo makes the real point. They are saying, okay, Roo thinks IDEs are not the future, but we disagree. Kilo is not leaving VS Code. In fact, they say they rebuilt their VS Code extension from the ground up on the OpenCode server, which is the same core that powers their CLI and cloud agents. And this is where the post becomes less of a goodbye post and more of a positioning post. Kilo is basically saying, if you used Roo because you wanted an open, agentic VS Code experience, we are the place to go now. They talk about true parallel execution, subagent delegation, and agent manager for running multiple agents, inline diff review with line-level comments, and sessions that can move between terminal and editor without losing context. So the argument is not just Roo is gone, install Kilo. The argument is the editor is still where developers live, and we are still building seriously for that environment. And to be honest, I mostly agree with that part. I do not think the IDE is dead. I understand why companies want cloud agents, and I understand why Roo wants to focus on remote. There is obviously a big future in agents that run remotely, work while your laptop is closed, open PRs, and do background tasks. But that does not mean the editor goes away. Most developers still write, read, review, debug, and understand code in an editor. Even if the agent does the first pass, you still need a place where you inspect the diff, make judgment calls, run local commands, and decide if the thing is actually good. So, I think the more realistic future is not IDE versus cloud, it is both. You want cloud agents for long-running work, and you want an editor agent for interactive work. Kilo's point is that they want both sides, and because they rebuilt the extension on the same core, the IDE is not some abandoned side project. That is the first post. Now, the second post is a lot more spicy. It is called Congratulations Cursor on being acquired by SpaceX. From the reporting, SpaceX has the right to acquire Cursor later this year for $60 billion, or alternatively pay $10 billion for the work they are doing together. So as of now, it is not as simple as saying Cursor has already fully been acquired. It is more like SpaceX has a massive option on Cursor, and they are working closely together. That distinction matters, but Kilo's point is not really about the legal detail. Their point is about incentives. They are saying that when a coding tool gets pulled into a company that also owns or controls an AI model, users may end up with fewer choices over time, and this is where they bring up the bigger pattern. OpenAI has Codex, Anthropic has Claude Code, Google has its own coding products, SpaceX now owns XAI and has this Cursor deal. So the coding assistant is not just a tool anymore, it is a distribution layer for models. That is the important sentence, really. If you own the model and you also own the editor or coding agent people use every day, then you can guide users toward your model. Maybe you do it obviously, maybe you do it subtly with pricing, defaults, rate limits, better integration, or better latency. But the incentive is there. And if we are being honest, that is how businesses work. Cursor became popular partly because it was model flexible. People could use Claude when Claude was best, use OpenAI models when those were best, and switch depending on the task. The value is not just the interface. The value is the workflow plus access to the best model for the job. So, Kilo is asking a very reasonable question. If Cursor is now closely tied to SpaceX and XAI, what happens to that model flexibility over time?
Now, I do not want to overstate this. It is possible Cursor stays multi-model for a long time. It is possible they keep Claude, OpenAI, Grok, and everything else available because that is what users want. And maybe the SpaceX partnership is mainly about compute because Cursor wants to train bigger models and needs access to massive infrastructure. That could be the positive reading.
But the skeptical reading is also pretty obvious. If SpaceX and XAI are investing this much into Cursor, they are not doing it just because they like developers. They want distribution. They want expert software engineers using their AI stack. They want Cursor to help XAI compete with OpenAI and Anthropic in coding. And that is where Kilo brings in the Windsurf example. Anthropic previously cut Windsurf's direct access to Claude when there were reports about OpenAI acquiring Windsurf. The logic there was basically, why sell your best model to a tool that may become part of your direct competitor? So, Kilo is saying Cursor users who depend heavily on Claude should at least think about that precedent. The core idea of model freedom is actually important. In AI coding, the best model changes constantly. One week, Claude is better at large refactors. Another week, GPT-5 Codex might be better at code review. Gemini might be cheaper for some tasks. Grok might be faster for another thing. Qwen or Kimi might be good enough for basic work at a much lower price. So, if your coding tool slowly becomes tied to one model provider, that is bad for users. And this is also why open source or model-agnostic tools matter. Whether it is Kilo, Klein, OpenCode, Aider, or anything similar, the important thing is that you can bring your own key, use different providers, and not be forced into whatever model the parent company wants to push this quarter. So, when I put both Kilo posts together, I think the bigger message is this. Kilo is trying to position itself as the independent middle layer. Roo is leaving the IDE extension world, so Kilo says we are still here in VS Code. Cursor is getting tied to SpaceX and XAI, so Kilo says we do not have a model to push. And those 2 points together create their whole argument. Use a coding tool that works where you already code, but also lets you choose whatever model is best for the task. That is actually a strong argument. But there are still questions. For Roo users, the question is whether Kilo really feels close enough to Roo to be a natural migration. Kilo says the code bases share ancestry, and they have migration resources, but users will still care about small details: modes, settings, model profiles, MCP servers, rules files, costs, all of that matters. For Cursor users, the question is whether this SpaceX deal actually changes the product in the short term. Maybe nothing changes for months. Maybe it only improves compute. Maybe Composer gets better. Or maybe over time, Grok becomes the default, Claude access becomes worse, and the product slowly shifts toward XAI's roadmap. We do not know yet. But I do think this week is a very clear signal of where AI coding is going. The market is consolidating. The independent tools are either becoming cloud agent companies, getting pulled toward model labs, or trying to survive as model-agnostic developer platforms. And for users, the safest thing is to avoid being too dependent on one closed stack. Use whatever is best, but keep your workflow portable. Keep your code in normal repositories. Prefer tools that let you change models. Prefer tools that let you export or migrate settings. And if you're paying for AI coding, think about whether you're paying for a tool, a model, or a whole ecosystem that may lock you in later. So, overall, I think Kilo's 2 posts are not just about Roo and Cursor. They are really about the identity crisis of AI coding tools right now. Is the future cloud agents? Is it IDE agents? Is it model lab-owned editors? Is it open model-agnostic extensions? The answer is probably a mixture of all of these, but personally, I still like the model freedom side the most. I want to choose Claude when Claude is best. I want to choose GPT 5.2 Codex when it is best. I want to use Gemini, Kimi, Qwen, Grok, or local models when they make sense. I do not want my editor deciding that for me because some parent company has a model to promote. So, Kilo's marketing angle here is obvious, but the underlying point is pretty good. Roo leaving VS Code creates a gap. Cursor getting closer to SpaceX creates a question, and Kilo is trying to be the answer to both. Now, whether they actually become that answer depends on the product. The features sound good, the rebuild sounds good, and the model freedom argument is strong, but as always, the real test is daily use. Does it work well? Is it stable? Is it cheaper? Does it respect user control? Does it keep improving without doing the same lock-in thing later? That is what we will have to watch. Overall, it's pretty cool. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you liked this video, consider donating through the Super Thanks option or becoming a member by clicking the Join button. Also, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye.